Hello? Hello? Is this thing on? Tap, 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 tap. Oh, hey. Hi. Here we are.
This is episode number 459. What's new in WordPress 6.3?
6.3. Oh, 6.3.
I'm Jason Tucker. Go over to my website at jasontucker.blog. Running 6.3, by the way.
You blog there? Okay. Hey, I'm Say. What's up? I really miss that necklace. At Say Read Media on most of the things these days.
And y'all know who it is. It's your boy Jason Cosper, aka Young Release Candidate, back at it again on the world's most influential WordPress podcast.
You heard it here first.
Speaking of which, go and subscribe to our podcasts. We have 2 of them. And hang out with us in our Discord.
Third one on its way.
Third one on its way.
Okay.
Yep.
Don't tell anybody. Well, we didn't tell you yet, so you can't. But not you, Courtney. But anyway,
oh, I'm allowed.
Guest on the show today, friend of the show, regular, less of a guest, more of a regular. I think
that becoming, yeah.
Special correspondent is what I would say.
Special correspondent. Ooh, I like that.
Must be release time.
Yeah,
Is that my beat?
That is
That's your beat.
Absolutely. We're like, oh, we should talk about 6.3. Guess we got to call Courtney. Knows literally everything there is to know.
Where's that red phone at?
In fact, Courtney recently sent me a link to this post. I don't even remember where it is because I can't track all the stuff you send me. But it was so long. There was so much happening. And it's not just because 6.3 is extreme, which it is, but also like you were so thorough, Courtney. I don't know what was that doc? What is that doc that you shared with me?
Was it the weekly roundup or was it the spreadsheet?
I don't know.
Dang, there's a week.
It looked like a post. It was like a list of like maybe it was a weekly roundup, but it was a post. It had like, I don't know, like 100 links on it. Like every line was blue.
Yeah. Yep.
I need an OPML file of all the places that Courtney posts at so I can just read them all from there.
Go to my GitHub profile. It's all right there for you. I have it all ingested into my GitHub profile for you.
Nice.
You make everything so bite-sized and easy to find. You can find Courtney everywhere. You can find her information everywhere. It's just like,
I try to make it lowest barrier for people to talk to me.
We are so lucky. We are so lucky to have you here to crack open the mysteries of 6.3. I have been more involved in 6.3 than I have been in any release ever.
This is true.
And not just because it's leading up to 6.4, where I will be Marcom's co-lead. We've done some cool stuff, which we can talk about. But I kind of want to let Courtney, I want to let you steer the ship here because
like I have a license for that.
You didn't just attend, didn't you? Like moderate? You did something with the walkthrough yesterday.
Yesterday, Anne and Rich did a walkthrough demo for everyone to attend, and
Rich Tabor, I believe is how you say his last name.
Tabor, I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and he's one of the lead design folks.
Yeah.
Sponsored contrib from Automatic. Anne McCarthy, also a sponsored contrib from Automatic.
Yes.
But the steward, I use that word hilariously this week. The steward of full site editing, FSE.
Yes, and knowing the source of truth document inside and out because she wrote the thing. Say the other post that you might have been thinking of at the beginning was how I track all the things where the changes are happening for the training team. I can also share that post with us, but
right, because yes. I just want to, it's not just that you are like obsessed with releases. It's because for the training team, you are dedicated more than anyone has been dedicated to making sure that the educational and learn materials that are available when 6.3 comes out are related to 6.3.
Yeah.
What an amazing feat. But I mean, actually, what an amazing concept, but it is actually an amazing feat because this is something that is really important and hasn't always been done.
I will say that my understanding of how to track information for a release goes back to reading one of our guests recently on WPwatercooler was Scott Clark, reading Scott Clark's notes to himself inside GitHub when writing commit messages and then figuring out what does this mean, because Scott was my lead dev when I worked at the events calendar and we worked in event tickets together.
Don't get me started on the events calendar today, please.
Right. Well, we both work at GoDaddy at this moment, but
yeah, I know. But if you mention the events calendar, I have things to mention about their current updates. Not related to 6.3.
Yeah.
But
another show.
So let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. So
not going to work with
these days. I started understanding what goes into the release process because of time spent working at a plugin company. I wouldn't have had my concept of what is involved in figuring out how to prepare, learn, or the docs team prepares amazingly well as well. And I've learned a lot from seeing how Milana triages through a lot of what's going on in a release for the docs team previously. And Milana has trained some other folks to help with a lot of that work. So in 6.4, I am delighted to be a co-lead on that squad for the training team. And Courtney PK will also be with me in that one. And she is always at writing the processes down, which I can do when it's not me also doing the work of. I'm really good at figuring out other people's processes when I'm not the primary one doing the work. She will be helping me with documenting the processes for the training team. But we go and we read through every changelog that happens in Gutenberg plugin. We read through all of the dev notes. We read through all of what the docs team has found that they need to document and create. We cross-reference that with everything on the Learn site. So what I'm telling you all is that docs and training team need help really quickly at getting all of our material ready. So with that plug, I will say that yesterday, people got a good intro to what's coming in this release. And I've been testing a lot of this in the FSE calls for testing, leading up to the beta period, going into the RC where we have string freeze. That means no more changes to the code. Let polyglots do the work of translating this to multiple languages so that it's all ready and tidy for us on August 8th. What's coming in this release? There are 2 links that we'll include in show notes. The version that Anne and Rich showed yesterday, and I did a walkthrough together as a Zoom classroom kind of style right after that, hosted the after party from that one. And in that Zoom version, there is a link to InstaWP, and I've got a templated site that you click a link, and for 4 hours, you've got a site functional working. We could probably also share that in the show notes of all of the new features that are coming. And we walked through a set of testing directions, and Anne and Rich basically gave a well-polished presentation of the same thing, which is convenient. If you've seen any posts anywhere that say about how to help with calls for testing, that would probably be it. I flipped on screen sharing, and the area that we might see, depending on if, there we go. There is a post over on the test team site. The test team writes these calls for testing directions. We know for the dev crowd about end-to-end testing and unit testing and testing. That's more machine oriented. This is going to catch the things that machines don't necessarily for us. And so with that, you can see what the table of contents is. Essentially, Rich and Anne ran through this. I ran through this. But here are a lot of the user-facing features. And then if you're a dev, you might want to go check out instead the field guide. And the field guide has lots of great features inside of it as well. And in those areas, there's some really exciting things like...
Wait, I want you to stop right there. This is the important thing.
Command palette.
It's the Wayfinder. I mean, the command palette.
Yeah, we talked about that, didn't we? Not long ago.
Yep.
Yeah, we've talked about some of the naming issues we've had, but it did become the command palette, and lo and behold, here it is.
I was testing that during my time yesterday and found a couple things. We also introduced a new distraction-free mode. But when I went,
like that, you think might be issues.
Room for improvement.
Yeah, room for improvement. Not
room for improvement. First, room for improvement. Alex Stein has shared that we need screen readers to read everything that the command palette does, and it doesn't do that right now. That is because the way that the command palette's library of code, they're using another open source library to make this possible. So there's a dependency. So we need the source that they got this from to work with screen readers, and that may not have been tested before it got implemented.
I get so tired of these things that are just like this isn't even like upper level, right? Like graduate level accessibility. This is baseline accessibility. can this thing read what's on the screen?
Yeah.
Like that's not complicated even to understand. It's
So
some accessibility stuff, tags, whatever. That can be more complicated, but the screen reader reading the stuff on the screen, not complicated. Well, I mean, it might be complicated in execution. It's not complicated in understanding that it should be there.
Correct.
MVPs
So
sometimes
I have no time.
two steps for action there. Let's figure out what that dependency is and wrangle some contributors to help fix the dependency.
Can you tell
that we're using?
Courtney has been working with the developers in fixing because she's like, do action items and you can do those now. Can you write those down, please?
Right. And then
write that down and get on it. Let's go.
The next kind of step in there, there are some ideas that I'd like to also include with that. Like when I was searching for the distraction-free mode, which is now a feature also in Site Editor, which makes it nice for the ADHD folks like myself to focus at times. I want the shortcut, but I don't keep it memorized. I'm like, but I know the shortcut to get to the command palette now. So let me try that. And it wasn't included in there. So worth a call out that plugins can tap into the API, and there's also work to be done to include even the basic features that have shortcuts in WordPress to also have those features integrated to the command palette. The command palette's great for jumping around inside of your WordPress logged in experience. It just doesn't include everything quite yet.
What the hell is the command palette?
Okay.
Let me tell you what my impression of it is from reading the very.
You don't play Minecraft?
You can tell me how. Is it in Minecraft? Is that what it's called in Minecraft?
It's in everything.
I know that's why we call it a command palette, but like just because something is in everything doesn't mean I know what it's called. Okay, this is not how that works.
Say does not use everything.
Not how this works.
All right. Say does not use everything. I get it.
Pointing to her head. No, I use lots of things. I just don't always know their names. So my impression is essentially that the command palette is a search box.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So on a Mac, you are usually hitting Command Spacebar. If you are in Chrome, you might hit.
Oh my God! I never knew that shortcut till just now.
I
just always hit the little magnifying glass.
Yeah. Nope. Command Spacebar on a Mac. I don't know the Windows key. Sorry. Control
K.
Control K on a Windows. Okay. And then if you're in a Chrome-based browser, like what you're seeing on your screen is I have switched over to Arc, and that's a Chrome-based browser. It's Command T there, but if you're inside of WordPress, it's now going to be Command K. Windows folks, it's Control for you, and you'll see an area like this pop up. It's only.
How did we not make that like Command W?
If you're in VS Code, it's going to be
right.
In VS Code, it's going to be Command.
Why isn't it Alt F4? I don't understand. Should be Alt F4.
No, I just meant like for Alt WP. Come on.
Yeah. Nah, that's what's hard about this stuff.
A thing and we pick a K?
No.
Why are we picking a K?
So in VS Code, it's Command P. So let the hilarities of figuring out which buttons to push for our new muscle memory sort themselves out.
Luckily,
but this only works
next to it.
Yeah. This only works in the site editor right now.
Yeah, up on the top, it puts like what the thing is, and when I was watching the demo, people were using different computers, and you can see that the letters kept changing and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, that's cool. That makes sense.
Yeah. So in the help test document, there's a picture all about it, and so you can see from there.
If you use Spotlight or Alfred, or if you're an older Mac user, Quicksilver, like back in the day, this is just like that.
Yeah.
And the key thing here is this is the beginning of a more elaborate search, which has the potential. Everyone has their eyes on AIing the command palette, right?
Yep.
Letters, right? Yeah. So you could write in, make a new page, and it would do it, or find or go to the header. Go to the header.
Okay, I can demo this for you, but to do so,
demo it for us.
Don't demo it. No. Okay.
No, we're a podcast. Unless you can just describe what happened.
I've done that. I did that today while chatting with Alex.
You type in there and then you hit return and something happens.
Yeah.
Anyway,
basically,
the idea behind this though is that it is.
Zane knows what's going on.
This is I kind of know. It's a box. There's stuff you put things in it, but this is one of those things that is this happens a lot is that there's a little nugget of something put into a release that is intended to be expanded, as we go, right? So this one has AI happening there. I think this is also to help people figure out where everything is going, because everything gets moved every 5 seconds now. Every release, everything's in a new spot and there's a new UI.
Speaking of the new UI,
with the admin UI redesign that's coming in phase 3, that search box, I don't know why we can call it search box, but whatever, that command palette will be even more useful, because you're
as it moves beyond the site editor to everywhere.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, where is anything?
Yeah,
I don't know where it is at all.
2 quick thoughts regarding the phase 3. If you haven't seen yet over in Core, I suggest that you go digging for search for phase 3. There is a list of like 5 posts.
Different show.
Yeah, but you mentioned admin dashboard overhaul. I'm going to say that Matthias had commented indicating Fields API may be part of that work. And I believe that we were,
That's Scott not 6.3 though. I'm telling people. I don't want anyone to get hyped and excited about it.
It might be 6.4 foundationally. I don't know that it will all ship, but
kind of like,
start thinking.
That's exactly what I mean. The nugget of it, the nugget of the redesign will probably be in 6.4.
Yep.
Yeah.
So one of the other things, you can see that there's some stuff in there about the preview. Some things that are new. If you are looking, when you go into Site Editor, they've moved styles over there. They moved the ability to get into your pages, to actually edit pages inside of the Site Editor. And when you're in and editing those pages, it locks you from editing the footer or the header or something else. But you can get to your pages and edit them inside of the Site Editor, which is compelling, because for some people, they want to visualize how this looks in the context of the rest of the site. And it will still
confusing, to be honest.
I have heard many people the other way, where it is confusing for them to not have it that way.
Well, I just mean, like, can you edit your text in there also, or is it just showing you?
No, you can edit your text in there, but you can't edit the header or the footer. Like, you can't change your logo from Site Editor editing page.
It's the wildest thing. It's like people other than us use the software.
Yeah.
And it's just
what?
Yeah, I know. So I mean, giving folks the choice, there are gonna be some people who bristle at that and find the new way of doing things confusing. I think actually this idea of the command palette, even though I don't love the name, I mean, we've already groused about that, but effectively, like with the command palette, like it'll hopefully start getting you to the places that you are wanting to go, looking to do. Like when they start adding some more autocomplete functionality. Actually, speaking of pal Scott Kingsley Clark, I was seeing on Mastodon, he was talking about how he's already started building stuff for the command palette, and it's just like super easy to get all folded in. So
I would keep an eye out for Pods 3 next week, by the way. And there is an API for the command palette, so various plugins can hook into that one. Don't know if that's too much of an insider secret there, but watch for Pods news coming next week, I believe. Other fun things in this release, there's a way that you can now see revisions inside of Site Editor, and it looks prettier than it did in the posts. Say's excited about that one suddenly. You're muted still?
Yeah. So I said, whoa. That's what I said. I said, whoa. I'm coughing, so I keep muting myself. But I didn't know that. I know that that's a huge part of phase 3 is revisions, so that you can see, all the different visions. There's also an incredibly old ticket that has asks for revisions to be basically available like on the front end for and visible like visible as content for translation, so that like if it's a new version, then people who are translating could go and see what was said before for context, like so for translation context, which allows, they can be like, oh, they meant this, and they were rephrasing it, so that it allows them to adjust. I thought that was really interesting, but it's a very old ticket that will be hopefully well, it will be fixed in phase 3. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Not 6.3, phase 3. These are two different things. Two different things.
We'll do another show together after we get through this release. Okay, so a couple other little blocks that are kind of fun. There's a like a box that a block you can put in that you expand, and it will show you stuff that's been hidden beneath. I like tucking tables of contents inside of that already. That's kind of a nice feature. The table of contents block officially won't ship until maybe 6.4.
It's going to be in 6.4 because it's on. No, I'm not muted now, am I? It's going to be in 6.4 because it's on Josefa's wish list.
There you go.
She's release lead, so pretty sure it's going to get
Yeah. There's also a footnotes block, some other stuff, and then we went and we renamed. They've added in some more patterns. And speaking of patterns, one thing to note is that patterns are also now what used to be reusable blocks are becoming patterns. I shared that I think last I was here, and I logged issues. Yeah. I wrote issues about all of that, and now they have fixed my concerns where if you go to add a block in and you can see like, oh yeah, that should make it sync to be reusable. But now there will be prompts anytime that you are adding in a block as a reusable block, like this little thing, the double little diamond icon type of thing there. You can see if you were to click into that, which I don't have a site loaded to preview with exactly, but you would be able to see, oh yeah, this is a reusable block and we are renaming it. And they've given you that descriptor text ahead. Really glad people were on that. After I logged the issue, it got resolved, and I'm excited about that. So we don't lose users in the process.
And you can search for one of those and find it to be able to get it to place it into the post, which is super cool. And then clicking on it, you can also unlink it, so that way you can start making changes to it, and it doesn't affect all the synced blocks as well, which is pretty awesome.
Unsync it.
Yeah.
Unsync, resurrect the ship.
Yeah, you like resurrect it. Is it like that's awesome? I love it.
Yeah. I'm looking. There is one of the features that is kind of new that the devs will like. There is a developer mode, and I'm looking through the changelog notes here. Searching the word developer is not ideal in searching through this one, but there is a developer mode in the post for the field guide. So devs care about the field guide. Everyone else cares about the test team site. So I'm going to defer over to Jason. Oh, here it is. Development mode. WP development mode. Yeah, let me put this text on the screen. You explain to us what that will do for us.
Yeah, so what development mode specifically, as it says here, what?
You chopped for a second.
Yeah,
you're back.
Good. Keep going.
Okay. Thank God. Yeah, so what development mode does, it takes and gives you a way to define like what you actually are working on while you're working in development mode. So say you're working, you're testing out, changes to a plugin, changes to a theme. You're doing it in a dev environment. You're locally, you're doing it on something like InstaWP, whatever. You can set effectively something in your WP config that will allow you to say, I'm working on a plugin, and what development mode does is it then takes care of the different like built-in caching layers that happen in WordPress core. If you are running some sort of caching, especially some sort of like object caching or something like that, it will effectively like help you route around those things. So that you're not running into cache data effectively. Like it kind of cuts through the red tape there and says, okay, no, like what the changes that you're making, you're actually seeing those changes, and you're not seeing
that would have been really helpful to me last week.
Sure.
Last week I was running into all sorts of caching problems. Remember caching problems, DNS problems. It was wild. But I love that it's 2023 and we're dealing with it. It maybe takes a long time to deal with your crap, but like at least we're dealing with it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
we're not ignoring it forever.
if you want, I mean, put the development version of that site on the release candidate, just like Tucker's been running it. Like I'm running it on like half a dozen sites at this point.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
fine.
not putting it anywhere.
All right.
I would say once you're at RC levels, it's usually stable
Wow.
enough that
No, I mean, I'm sorry. Have you heard
I
of
mean, I
my-
beta my iPhone. Why not?
what the-
that's living a little
you
wild.
are all living on the
Beta
edge.
1.
Speaking of things that we should get rid of finally, PHP5, goodbye. And say, should we share one of the gems that you have especially been working on for this release?
I mean, I think so because we'll
Okay.
talk about it more in detail. But this release has a very beautiful new section in the about page that you land on here when you update.
Yep.
The Get Involved tab. What?
Yeah,
Yes,
let's
for
look
the
at
very
this.
first time in WordPress's history, in WordPress, the software, it says
We're evangelizing?
get involved in WordPress and the community. Like what?
Yeah.
So
Look at
happily-
that.
I know it's like wild.
Oh my
Happily,
gosh.
the,
Wait, this is open source? Look at that. Oh my gosh.
Huh.
This is so cool.
those are going to be pictures,
Wow.
not blue things, but
Yeah. For those
Wow.
that,
Kinda
that
like
are
the blue
listening in the
things.
audio only version of this podcast,
It's blue
there
things.
is on the screen the splash page when you first run the update. And there are several tabs across the top: what's new, credits, freedoms, privacy, and get involved. When you go through the get involved, it's kind of a staggered layout that's there, including details about no code contribution, code-based contribution,
code
and a link at the very bottom that takes you to
don't say that
find
page
which
yet, 'cause it is
team you
not
want to
live.
contribute to.
That has been a whole world because it turns out that I don't know if people know this, but the way when you look at something through a marketing lens, it's different than through a developer lens. I don't know if you
No
knew that.
way.
Did anyone know? that?
Microsoft figured that out finally. It was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
A lot of folks have not figured that out, but it's true.
Google.
So when we were talking about where this page should go, like what's the call to action, and the resounding response was, just have it go to the Make homepage. I was like,
And
no.
the original ticket, Nason's like, don't do that.
No,
It was a Nason thing even back then.
that was like
Dang.
10 years ago.
We
but, like,
can do
the
it blame
original-
Nason and say no on that.
The
I
original
agree.
ticket, by the way, this is something that's a long time coming, right? Say,
No, but it's a secret for later.
No. We'll save that for another show right
Save
there,
it for
Cosper.
Okay.
When
Okay.
6.3 launches, we'll do a deep dive on this, and it'll be really
Yeah.
fun.
Courtney, I have a
Okay.
quick question. So
Yeah.
what's this thing officially called? You said splash screen. Is that
It's
what?
called the
it's
about
like the-
page. It's called
Yeah.
the about page.
Yeah, but
It's
is
called
it
that
like about
because
for that
we
version?
release a page on make.wordpress.org or on wordpress.org/news that will be the about page that has all of this in it as one long page. It will have all 5 of these tabs as one long page
Okay.
on
I
release
call it
day.
I call it the about page in the WordPress admin dashboard.
Yeah, it's
So if you're looking for a really snappy turn of phrase for it,
Dang.
that's it. It's the
That's
about
good.
page in the WordPress admin dashboard. So everybody knows it's there, right?
have you ever
Everywhere.
considered being a poet? Say,
I know. It's called I've done too much SEO, and everything is just being labeled exactly what it is, which is
Yeah.
this is a problem for
Good stuff.
creative writing. But the cool thing about this, so at the bottom, right, there's a call. It's like, hey, hype. You can join WordPress. FYI, it's a thing. We need you. And that that little link at the bottom, don't click it, please. It goes to a new page on kind of an old page, but it's not been a live page on Make, which is finally getting people to essentially onboard. So we have modified a tool from, and we'll talk about this more in a couple weeks too, but we've modified a tool from WordCamp Asia and WordCamp Europe that helps people figure out what team they should contribute to based
It's a
on
sorting hat.
questions. It's a sorting.
It
oh my
is
God,
the sorting hat.
It's a sorting
no,
hat.
no. Can we not?
Hufflepuff,
Oh,
Hufflepuff.
Can we not use terminology
Damn it.
created by such an anti-trans
Yes,
piece of shit?
yes.
This is
I'm so
true.
mad
This
at-
is true.
You know, like, I need. Okay,
We need
Is there
another
something
one
else
of those.
other than a sorting hat. If figuring out cap, maybe
Right.
figuring
The
out
cap,
cap.
yeah.
Can it be that? Is that okay?
A figuring
Sure.
out cap.
Figuring out cap.
There
I loved that analogy.
Oh, that domain is available. We're good.
Oh,
Figuring out-
right. Purchased during the show.
It really just rolls right off the tongue. I really loved the idea of calling it a sorting cap for 2.5 seconds there. So that
There
was
you go.
that was like
Sorry.
whiplash. Oh my
Sorry.
god, how are we already? Ugh, it's not your fault. It is J.K. Rowling's fault.
There you
Let's
go.
just be clear about that, Cosper.
Yep.
Right.
Okay. So
Right.
anyway, the point here
Go
is
test
this is
all
really
of this
exciting.
stuff before we release it. And please go to all of the teams and help get all of the teams ready for release, because so many teams beyond core take part in that release.
Yeah, just go do everything real quick. That'll be
That's
a good
Wait.
thing.
that's it.
Just be like Courtney.
So
Do it
that was everything.
That's enough.
Can I do a little Q&A session real fast here?
Okay. Do it.
Sure.
So the developer mode thing.
Yeah.
Is that like a replacement for, I know this isn't, but I'm asking the question, but is this a replacement for, or kind of helps with doing something like turning on debug mode? Like, is this just like a better debug mode, or what are we looking at here?
Okay, I just love.
Oh, yeah. I was looking at
Debug.
when we were looking at the directions about a development mode, I saw that it said if you go into site health, you'll see that it displays there. You don't have a toggle here for it, but inside of the site health part of your WordPress site under info, you can see if WP development mode is enabled or disabled at the moment. So you would still need to manually go in and configure that information. But
Yeah,
that's about where that is. That's so I would defer to Cosper to define.
This is more about like
The rest.
caching than anything else.
Stop
at this
talking
point,
about
apparently, right?
Cosper.
so okay,
Ah!
the difference between all of these things, they lay it out in the make post, and I'll make sure it makes it into the show notes. But effectively, WP development mode, they specifically say this, I'm just going to read it, defines a specific scope of development that applies to the current site, which results in certain low-level behavior changing. This is different from WP debug, which does not affect actual behavior. So if you want to turn on debug mode, you still have to turn that on.
So basically, developer mode just pretends that it's like, oh, you're developing, but we're going to pretend you're live. Right? Essentially.
Basically.
It's like turning off the things that say it's not on. So like, for example, like any of the things that would be connected to the internet somewhere, or connected to some other service, or maybe like license thingies, license boxes, stuff like that.
License stuff does hitch into the WP environment type stuff. I know that there are several plugin developers, especially, well, yeah, of course, the premium plugin developers that do look for like a staging environment type, and will say like, okay, well, short circuit the licensing for this because they've moved their site into staging.
Yeah, not nearly enough.
No.
Do that. Because wow, it is a pain to have to update those things on staging sites, and you're like switching licenses. Like,
have you tried setting your environment type when you move something into staging?
In the admin or on
in WP config?
No.
Oh yeah, I mean
Okay.
I
that's
didn't know that was
there's a couple plugins out there that will help you with that, just because it makes it so that if you wanted like the dashboard to be a different color or something like that, just to kind of like tell you like, hey, you're in development mode here.
I always just do all that stuff manually. I just go in and make it red, or whatever. I'm like, I've got this, the sunset colors or whatever, so that I remember that it's the dev version. But I do remember us going over a plugin that did that, and I was really excited about it. But memory implementing things, it's like, who needs all that?
Right.
I'll just go change my profile color.
So
It disables cache on themes. Cool.
Yep.
That's great. Good job. The benefit to this is just basically that this has nothing to do with users, obviously, whatsoever. So this is just helping speed along the process. So when you're designing stuff, you know that what you're looking at is what you're doing. Like you didn't mess it up. It's actually happening. Because what I realized is that I may have talked about this last week or the week before, but like what I realized is that I always think I'm the problem, that I've done something wrong. And it's not always not me, but most of the time it's the cache. So I think that this is kind of a big deal, but maybe there will be a plugin that uses development mode. So one of those plugins will like allow you to toggle this more easily.
Oh yeah,
to toggle through some of these things.
Yeah, so that like a plugin that helps you manage development mode. Because I hate going.
I ain't writing it.
You're not writing it? Come on, you've been on a plugin kick lately. You can do it.
Okay, random. I took a deviation here over in the comments. I want to say hello to Pierre Mario. Pierre Mario is one of the polyglots folks and one of the locale ambassadors for the training team in Italy. So once we hit string freeze, folks like Pierre Mario kick it into overtime with a lot of work of getting WordPress ready in other locales. And so thank you for all of your contribution also to the polyglots team.
And the training team. The training team also really goes into overtime once, maybe not string freeze, but once we start hitting.
Yeah.
Let me pull up the the post that I think I left. Command palette for your browser that just popped up, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's Command T.
With understanding what things are named. This is the problem with being self-taught about everything. You just don't know what things are called, and you're just like, oh yeah, the thing that happens when you do this thing. Right?
That's why it's Jeff.
Yeah. Exactly.
Cosper, I'm clearly not running on welcome here. I'm sorry about that. I've scrolled past the welcome box at the top. Cosper has written the unwelcome.
I was reading it as it was on there. It was kind of cool.
Yeah. So here we go. This is the content under the.
I love that thing.
And then
this is the thing I was talking about.
So down here, this is a link to the training team's GitHub repo, and all of the contents that we need to go create or revise are there. Where do I find that information? I start reading this type of stuff. So
this is
I
what
read the core announcements. I read and source of truth. I usually get the version before it goes public. I read certain GitHub labels that the docs team curates because our teams do a lot of work together. I read all of the dev notes. I read the Gutenberg change logs. Here are the things in track that are not in Gutenberg. I go look at that too. What's the editor team doing? So what's nice is that I put this all together one time, and each release I just copy paste and modify a couple links to get to where I need, and then drop stuff in as it publishes. So it isn't a huge all at once document that comes together. But speaking of those revisions, we had a custom plugin built for Learn, Help Hub, and Dev Hub. Help Hub is the area of the docs team publicly that users would go to. So not the dev docs, but the user-facing docs. And that revisions extended plugin was written so that we can essentially stage or do a PR off of any of the content on Learn or Help Hub. We can fork it, rewrite the things that need to go live at a later time, and schedule it when to go live. There's some areas yet to improve in that. But when we first published this, Mika was first to say this should belong in core. And I believe that Matthias is looking at that in phase 3 as well. So not a current feature, but it's a thing we use in some of the teams already to manage how we're issuing the content changes.
Nice.
And if you were watching live, the YouTube link, you will have seen Say get a twitchy eye when Courtney said fork it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know what?
That is supposed to be special for only the people watching and paying attention, not for
Fork that.
The thing that came up for me was the bop it.
Sure.
Twist it, turn it,
Fork it. Pull it, push it, merge it.
I see a game. I see a game option for WordCamp US.
I do.
Please, so that we can take that to US, because that would be amazing.
We need a hack.
Pierre Mario can help us get it in for Italy too. Pierre Mario is going to be local for WordCamp EU. Very local.
I feel like the twist one would be like merge it. Anyway, if you've not played the game Bop It, no one has any idea what we're talking about. But we'll try
an American 80s kid game. We'll bring it and make it popular again.
Just a bunch of old millennials over here. Don't find us. Old American millennials feeling sad about a game that we used to hand off to each other all the time.
So yeah, all the links are in the show notes. Courtney's GitHub is literally the first one in the list of show notes because you might as well just go there.
Go there.
Particularly active.
Don't even bother anything else. Don't listen to the show. Just go read Courtney's thing.
Yeah,
it's active because it's an RSS feed, and that's where all your stuff shows up.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, but really, the changes that are happening right now are really, I guess it's they're talking about polishing up phase 2 with 6.4, but really what's happening in 6.3 is that overlap where, like I said, they're planting the seeds of phase 3. And so this is really like this kind of transitional time. So this is one of the releases that I feel like you need to stay up on, because this is one of the ones that, like, if you don't stay up on it, you'll end up being like really far behind by the next one. So this one, I think, has a lot of like under the hood stuff that is like opening, like even just the APIs, right? It's like really opening it up for the next couple releases to have a lot to plug into there. So I think this is a really important, it may not be like as aesthetically important, or, there's not a ton of, there are some changes in the site editor, but like, the admin's not going crazy or whatever. So I think this is one of those, it's not like a sneaker. What is it? Like a silent, like, I don't know. This is a weird analogy.
It's the table setting. We're setting the table.
Okay. I like that analogy. Yeah. It's like you need to sit down at the table because dinner is coming.
Yeah.
Basically. So
we all eating.
We're eating because you don't have a choice. You're gonna eat it.
Right.
Yeah. That's what the meal is. It's just a big pile of taco food.
And speaking of which, it's almost lunchtime here in the
yummy.
Pacific.
I'm so hungry.
So, folks, thank you very much for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. Courtney, thank you as always for just showing up and just knocking it out of the park as you do.
It's convenient that I get to do the prep work for all of this as part of the training team and also part of my work at GoDaddy, editing our release post there. So
definitely convenient for us.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you that, because we appreciate you both on a global community level and on a local show level. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for pinch hitting.
There you go.
Talk today. Best release ever. No, 6.4 is going to be the best release ever.
Yes,
because Courtney will still be involved, and so will I.
Will officially
I will
too.
help, co-leading communications. Yes. So everything will not be called thing, but it will be well communicated. I swear to you. And if anyone ever has had any ideas about, especially if you're a plugin or a theme developer, about how these changes could be communicated better to you by the project, hit me up, because I am all about getting these processes streamlined. So if you need more information in your emails that come out to you, if you need those to be posted in a certain way, like, I don't know what you need, plugin and theme developers.
Yeah.
But, I want to give it to you.
Yeah. We're really actually quite interested in having content out there for plugin and theme devs to better track all of the changes that are going on, and knowing that you're testing that.
Turns out.
Yeah. Knowing that you're testing all of that information before a product ships is really helpful.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, there's a lot to stay on top of, and it's hard even when you are paying attention. Like, it's even hard for Courtney to pay attention to literally everything. And it's like literally her day job. So, and she's creating these documents. So if you don't have that time, help us. And this is for the process, not just for 6.4. Help me figure out how we can get that information to you in a more distilled manner, or in a just an easier to digest way.
Right.
Like, what information do you need to make it so that you can test more easily, that you can, see what you need to test more easily. I want to help really streamline that process so that the plugins and the themes and the developers of those, extensions can feel really confident in all of the new changes that are coming up, and not blindsided, which, as we know, happens fairly regularly. So talk to me, get in our Discord, hit me up on one of the channels. Not on Threads, because that's the worst. It's actually not the worst, but it's second worst.
It's the least web friendly.
The least good. Technologically, not philosophically. I can't with all this social media.
And with
okay?
that,
Just
we
Discord,
are
okay?
out.
Okay, bye.
Talk to y'all later. See ya. Bye-bye.
Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, apparently Facebook now, and LinkedIn, but not the Twitter because we don't like the Elon. So subscribe and join us in the Discord and tell us what you think. That is what's really important, what you think.